Welcome to the webinar on progress screens and case status. To start the webinar, I'm going to start in the red globe area of command level. I'm going to open us up into a case to locate the progress screens in a case. If I click into the red globe, I have a case saved in here, and I'm going to open that up. It's my case for Lee Cooper, and it's a purchasing case type. So it's going to load us up into the blue globe. So we're now at the case and all the details are visible here at the top of the screen. Now you'll notice it's taken me into the purchase case, and I've also got various pages in here for the purchase case itself. It's not taken me straight through to the progress screen. Now I could click on the icon here in the toolbar for case progress, and it's going to open me up into the case progress side of things. However, if you do use these screens, you might want the case progress screens to load straight away. So I'm just going to go back a step there and just exit back out of the case first of all, so it takes us back into command, and I'm going to show you how you can set your individual user settings to have this loaded if it's something that you require. Into the red globe, I'm going to select the options tab, and it's going to be loading me up here into the user options settings. And up at the top, we've got the general setting. In general, you can see if I come down to the user defaults area, that mine's currently defaulting to my default screen of the purchase case when I load up. However, if I click the drop-down arrow, I can set that to load up the case progress screen. And if you just click OK there in the bottom right to save that change if you've made it to your system. I'm going to go back into the globe. Let's load up the case again that we want to work on today. And this time, when it loads up, you'll notice it's taken straight into the case progress screen. Up at the top, it tells me here, I'm in the case progress, and it gives me all the case information. So that's a top tip to start off with, if you want that to load up so you can get straight to the progress screens. But this is a typical case progress screen for a purchase case that I've got available here to show. Now, I've added quite a little bit of detail in the screens that you can see in the center of the page here, just so we can move things on a bit through the webinar. So just talk you through a little bit what you're seeing on here to start with. At the top of the progress screen, we've got a little filter section here in the top area. It's looking at the current date, which is today. So anything that's outstanding as from today is going to highlight. If you come down into the center area, it'll highlight in red if there's anything overdue. If there's anything due today, it's going to be highlighted with a blue ring. As you can see here, I've got something that I need to action today, the 24th, property information forms to client. And then anything in the future or within the next 7 days in the future has a green ring around it. So I've just completed a few fields just so you can get a feel of how a screen may look when you load it up. You can also adjust the day using the little drop down arrow and drill into another day in the calendar, so it will change the look of your page. You can use a slider bar as well. If I want to see what's coming up in the future, I can just drag the slider bar along, and you can see straight away there everything's now gone red, because it would mean that in a week's time these would be overdue. So it gives you a really good feel of what you have got coming up in the future. So it helps you just keep a control of your workload and what's coming up. And you can just drag that on 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 5, etc. Nice and easy to do there at the top. The other filter that you see here in the top section is the key date, and I've currently got mine set to all. Now, a key date is something that the designers, the administrators, they can set these in the back end of the system when they create the progress screens, and it's just a way of filtering. It's a way to get onto your screen, just those key dates, something that's vitally important, and you can drill the drop-down arrow in and just say, I want to see just the key dates only. So if any of your progress stages have been set as a key date, you can just pull those straight into view. So money's received on account, draft contract approved, those are the important ones, those are the key dates, and you can get those visible straight away. I can just set that back to all, or I can look at non-key dates only. It's just a useful way of filtering, so I'll just pop that back to all on there, get the full screen back, because you will find that you'll have many stage types in your progress screens. You'll have many coming down the page, so it's nice and easy just to drill in. The key date that we've just seen there in the filter, I'm just going to bring the mouse across here to the right-hand side. You do have a column that also says here key date, and anything that's ticked, and it's really useful to have this column in view because you don't have to have the page set out how mine is. You can key date can be hidden away if needed, but I just think it's quite useful to have that, so you can see also at a glance the key dates and the tick box there that's been set up in the back end of the system. Okay, so those are your filters. Into the center panel then here that you're seeing all the information on your progress screens. To start with, the stages that I'm looking at, these are your progress stages here. We've got pre-exchange in the blue banner here, and I've got all the different areas that I need to check and see what's happening with underneath. The next progress stage here is searches. All these that you're seeing underneath are the items, so the stage items. That's the name of the stage. And we've got the stage items, and then I've got searches underneath, and I can just fill these down, just shrink them up so you've got a nice easy view as you first go into the screen, if that's how you like to view things, and then open them up as and when you need, because the page can look quite busy sometimes. Now you'll notice that both mine have a red warning triangle on. I'll just go in with the pre-exchange first, and you can see this red warning triangle is for you to have a look at the page, and straight away you know you've got something you need to action. It's a warning sign to say there's something overdue. So I can see here it's referring to the estate agent's particulars received, which was due 23rd. So that's now outstanding. I need to action that first. Before we action it, we'll just pop through some of these columns that you're seeing. We've got the description, so that's nice and easy to read. The column there for workflow, anything that's set with a little green button here with the triangle is telling you that there is a workflow attached to the item. You can run the workflow from here, and it maybe produces a document. It's going to produce whatever actions have been set in the workflow, but you can run the workflow from here. It might be that the workflows run on the back of a data item, so the data item sets the workflow off as well, and it will complete some of the fields. The next column here is screen, and you can see that we do have just one symbol in one of my items. Money is received on account. It has been set by your design team with, or my design team in this case, with a little screen. And if I click into the screen, you can have screens on all your items. You can have them just on one or two. Depends what you want out of the system. And it's going to take me into the screen, perhaps where that particular data item is. And you can see money's received on account is here. And that's where it's taken me to. There are some other pages as well on this screen. It might be eventually I want to go into searches, for example, and have a look what's happening in there. But the symbol will take you into the screen that's relevant. Okay, back into the progress screen then. And that's what the symbol does. The next three columns, requested, expected, and completed. These are all your date fields. This is the workload that's coming up. You can see when it's requested, when it's been expected, and if you've completed it or not. So these can be renamed by designers. They don't have to be called requested, expected, completed, but the majority of clients do tend to have them that way. That's how we have ours, but they can be renamed if needed. The status is what's happening right now with this particular stage, and I can see that this top one has been completed. There's one there that's been skipped. We'll go through that shortly. And then we've got completing user, who completed the stage. Well, I'm logged in today as train 1, and that's what we're seeing in the completing user field. It's who's actually updated that stage. A note's been added here, completed by Helen on the 19th for the webinar. So that's just something so you can see if you do add any notes to your stages, they will appear on the screen and everybody can see what's happening there. So if you want to make any updates on this screen, you can just double click in the requested, expected or completed, doesn't matter where you click, it's going to open you up into a window. So I'm going to action the one that's outstanding first of all. Double click into the line and it's going to load up this estate agent's particulars received. That's the stage and it's got the relevant bits of information underneath. So I can see that the requested was the 10th, the expected was the 23rd. It's now overdue, so I'm actioning this first. Anything that's grayed out, you can't edit, but it's telling me that there are no tolerance days. Now, tolerance days can be set up again by the design team in your progress screens. Maybe a tolerance of 2 days, tolerance of 3 days, just so it gives you that little bit of leeway and it will give you an alert warning, like a yellow triangle, to say this is coming up, it's due in the next 2 or 3 days, whichever. It just gives you that little bit of leeway and gives you a warning. This isn't a key date, it hasn't been set as a key date, but I want to complete it. you saw, in fact, I'll just drag that to the side a bit. We saw earlier on there that one of my stages has been skipped. Now, if you ever see skipped on the page, it means that it's not really relevant for this particular case, so I can just skip through it. I don't need to complete it. And if I was to tick the box, I can skip this stage. Now, you can set things as essential, in which case they can't be skipped. And again, that would be set by the design team. If you want any of the stages to be essential, that's this little tick box here. It will already have a tick in, it will be grayed out so the end user can't edit it, but you can't skip essential items. And I could also add a note in here. Nice and easy. So I'm going to complete this because it is outstanding. Complete it with today's date. And you can see there, the red, it's also run the workflow, by the way, there in the background. But you can see now everything's been complete there. Today's date, status is completed, and the note has appeared through on the screen as well. And you'll notice now there is a blue triangle in the pre-exchange because there's nothing outstanding in this area anymore, but there is something that's due today, and that's why it has the blue ring around it. So I'm going to double click again, open this one up, and let's complete this stage as well. But you can see that this one is essential. So I did mention if you wanted to skip anything that was essential, I'll just show you how that works. If I click on skip, you do get an error message. This item has been designed to be essential, so it must be complete. You can't skip it. That's okay. I'm going to complete this stage again. And now you can see we have a yellow triangle there that's appeared in the top left because as it's working through what I'm adding into the system, this is the tolerance. So for this one, it's saying that there's something coming up in the next few days. Now, if you want to see what has tolerance on any of your stages, you can do a right click over any of your columns and we can go to the column chooser. So this is just you personalizing the page a little bit, really. And if I click on column chooser, I get the usual customization box, but I think it's quite useful sometimes to have the essential details in there so I can see any of the essential stages. And I will also just pop in there tolerance. So you can see anything that is been marked as being with a tolerance option. So 2 days, 3 days, etc. there. You can see everything available on the page now. So I'm just going to complete a few more fields just so we can get this particular pre-exchange all done and dusted, and we'll move on to a different progress stage there. So I'm going to complete, double click, I'm going to the monies received on account. In fact, on this one, monies received on account, I'll actually go into the screen. Let's go into the screen on this one so you can see again what we showed a little bit earlier. Monies received on account, I'm going to add today's date in on there and I'm going to save. So it's taken me into the page, the instructions page, and I've added the data items in, added the field in. I'm going to go back in there to the case progress, and you can see by clicking on the screen, I've added it into the data item, but it's completed it back through onto the progress screen here. So you could do it here, do it in the data item. Again, it's all the way it's set in the back end. If you've got any data items that want to work with the progress screen, you can add that in as it's been designed. So another one, draft contract received. Let's just pop this one. This is where you've got your tolerance days, but I'm going to complete it. And now I just want you to notice we've completed all the stages in that pre-exchange progress area. And you can see it's now got the green circle with this nice tick in the pre-exchange area. And it's shrunk that away and brought the searches now into view. So what that's saying, whenever you see this, it's saying that the pre-exchange is all complete. Now open it up again, and you can see from there, everything has been complete or it's been skipped if I was allowed to skip it. Now we mentioned there, I went to the monies received on account and opened the screen, and you may have noticed that there is a little screen up here as well at the top of that stage, and that will also take me into the screen area and you can choose the page to work on. It's the same screen that it's going to take you to that's been set in there, but you can have different screens set between different stages. I'm going to shrink that away and let's look at the searches then. So once again, I've completed a few bits and pieces on here just so we can speed things up a bit, but I can tell straight away there's something outstanding. It's this one, it's the mining search. So I can go into here and I can load up, double click and complete. But you'll notice that the searches area also has the screen. So let's go into the screen. It's taken me back to the area that you've just seen. It's taken me to the instructions page, but I know that here there is a page for searches. So it takes you into the screen, but you would have to scroll through. You can't drill it down to the actual page. But I can go onto the searches page, and once again, I can look in here, look at the searches that are available, and I could complete these maybe with data items. The requested has been completed, and the received dates here have been completed. The one that's outstanding is the mining search. So I'm going to complete that through the data item, and I'm going to save that page down. But it's a good way of going back into the screen and just doing a sanity check, seeing what's happening, getting a feel of what's going on with the case. So now you can see the searches. I've gone back into the progress screen, and I've now completed both of those sections. I'm just going to open that back up. I could have double clicked and I could have gone in there and completed it that way, but I just chose to go through the screen. So those two areas have been done. Now you may notice here, case type stages that runs down the right-hand side has a list of 4 more. In this particular case, we've got planning details, mortgage details, exchange and completion. Now you can drag anything into view in here, providing there's no details in. So planning details, I can now drag through and drop it into place because there's no data yet being added into these stages. Mortgage details, again, I can drop in. You can also have these appearing straight away on your progress screens when they're set up, or you can choose to be able to just drag them in and out. It just makes the page a bit neater sometimes in this area if you've not got everything on view at the same time, but you can still open up and complete as needed. So I'm just going to go back into my pre-exchange, and we were double clicking and we were completing, or we were going back to the screen, but I just want to show you a few right click options in here as well. I mean, I've completed these, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to right click over any of my entries in here. Doesn't matter what screen you're in, you'll have the right click and you will be able to run a workflow. If there's a workflow attached where you're doing the right click, you'll be able to run the workflow from the right click options. If it has a screen attached like this one, you'll be able to go straight to the screen using the right click options. And then we've got insert key date item below. If you want to insert them, we call these ad hoc items. If you want to insert something that does have a key date, you can click into the option and it will say, well, what do you want to add? What's the description? I'm just going to call this Helen's stage. Requested today, it gives you a week there of tolerance. You can change this up if needed. Mine's defaulted there to a week. You can set a workflow. If you need to set a workflow, anything that you have on your system will be listed. And maybe you want to add a screen in there, case particulars in. But the key date is set now by default because in the right click options, I chose to add the ad hoc stage with a key date. And that's okay. And I'm just going to simply okay that through. So you can see now in my pre-exchange, I do have Helen's stage. It's an ad hoc stage, but it's been brought in just for this case. So just be a little bit mindful there. If you open up another case, you won't see Helen's stage in it. It's just for this particular case that we're working in. The ad hoc ones won't appear all through the system that you're adding in. And I can continue with the same method of what we've just been doing with the other stages, complete where needed. It will still change up the view here and the triangle when it becomes overdue, etc. The ad hoc ones can be deleted, they can be removed. You've got a remove item should you have changed your mind and you don't need it anymore, then you can just take those away. But they can be quite useful and quite effective in your case types. I'll just do that right click again. So insert key date, we know what it does. Insert item above and insert item below does exactly the same. It will just allow you to insert an ad hoc stage, but it won't have the key date tick box. Well, it will have the tick box, but it won't be automatically ticked if you choose that way. The edit item is the same as double clicking. We were double clicking to make the entries. If you click on edit item, it takes you back into this box and you can have access to all the same areas. So a double click or right click with edit will do the same thing. And if you have permissions, you well may have permissions to remove stage and include stage. And that's permission related as well in there. Okay, so progress screens there then, looking at the progress, how we can change things up on the screen and how you can see the icons that will give you an indication as to what's going on. The other thing that we can do from progress is look at the case status, which is at command level. And this gives you an indication of what's happening in all your progress screens for all your cases. So I'm just going to pop into the command level so you can see this. So we're up in the toolbar here, we've got the case status icon. It looks very much like the progress screen. So I'm going to click into there. And like we say, this area here, it's for you to, maybe on a morning when you go into the office, rather than just opening up individual cases, you can come in here and you can filter so you can get a real good idea of what's outstanding all in one place for all the cases that you're working in. Or maybe you want to see, a different person that's in the team, you want to see what they're working on. So you've got the filter results at the top. You've got fee earner, owner and team. I'm today logged in as Tom Trainer, so I can see everything that I have. But maybe I want to reset that. I can search for somebody else in the list and do the same with fee earner just by adjusting the radio button if needed. You can also filter down a bit more with the and. Is there a client code I want to look at? Is there a case type? Or maybe a case status? The case status is the area in your case properties area. If you're using statuses, there is a drop down in there. So you can filter as well from there. And again, key date. Do you want to see all? The drop down, I want to see all the key dates or non-key dates, because the case status area will have anything that's got progress, any cases with progress screens will be visible in here. Include live and the auto filter, usual stuff in there, and refresh obviously to bring your screen up to date. But what you see, as you can tell here, warning triangles, complete triangles. If your cases have got progress screens, you can see at a glance what's going on with everything. So you can come in here, you can click to open existing mortgage, what's happening with that, it's overdue, open it up, and then you can start to work on the cases. Now, the case status area is not a place where you'd come and edit. I can't double click into there and make any edits. What I can do from the case status is do a right click and I can load the case up from there. Maybe I want to load the client, load admin, got a list for cases for the client, and the usual stuff in there as well. So case status is the area for check-in, opening the case, and then doing the relevant edits. But you don't edit from within here, you open the case first. But it's a great area to do all your sanity checks to make sure that you are aware of what's coming up, what's overdue, and what you need to work on your cases. So I hope you found that useful. Thanks very much.